Morning, Jim. Morning, Simon.
Morning, Lee.
Yeah, so I've been watching Marcus Rashford, obviously, like the rest of us, since he was a young boy. Seen him develop into a good player, like you say. Not a great player, a good player. But I think with the old boardroom, they used to hand out these silly contracts left, right and centre to mediocre players that have only done very mediocre things in their careers so far. And what I am hoping is that with this new setup that's coming in, that changes quite quickly. These players need to be seen to be wanting to do the right things for the club and fighting for the shirt, and fighting for the badge. I think something's been missed. I may have missed it very early on, but I believe that the players have had a big backlash against Marcus Rashford about this, that some of the senior players have had a real big pop at him.
Well, certainly, Lee, according to the Mail this morning, Chris Wheeler in the Mail is saying that Rashford's teammates are angry with him over this latest lapse of discipline. Senior players said to be unhappy with him. So, yes, you're right to assume that.
That's a good thing. What I am hoping, though, with, let's say, with a new setup, and what I'm pleased about is that this has been done internally. Again, you'd be talking before maybe the Ineos have come in with Dave Brailsford there, that things were always, they were never in-house. Everything, the media wanted to know everything, the fans wanted to know everything. It's fine. If you were at a job anywhere else, things are kept in-house. If he's got in yesterday, which he's done, and he's telling off, I'm hoping he's been told this is it, this is your last chance, and then you go. That's what needs to happen. We've seen it far too much with players, with your Pogbas, Lukaku's, Lingard. You know, we've just had Sancho happen exactly the same. But the difference also here could be is that Marcus Rashford's gone in and that he's apologised and he's going to get his head down and crack on. Okay. And that's what Jadon Sancho did do.
Well, Lee, listen, thank you for the call and many points made on that. Tom is a Leeds United fan who wants to join us and he wants to talk about this Rashford situation. And I think it's coming from another direction on it. Tom, good morning.
Good morning. Simon, well done for not pulling a sickie with your funny toe.
Good point. So what's your thought on Rashford then, Tom?
So I just think he's a good footballer. I mean, he's a cracking footballer, and I think that he has been, I agree with what most people are saying, that he is good, he's not great. But I think that I think Man United have got so many things to worry about at the moment. That their form is terrible. They've got a manager that isn't delivering on different times. I watched the FA Cup game the other night, and it was just, my eyes were absolutely wide open watching them. They nearly lost to a team that they should be absolutely dominating. And I just think the guy's 26 years old. He's got his commitments. He's a professional, but he's a 26-year-old that's pulled a sickie. We've all done it. We've all gone out. We've all had a bit of a big night, and we've all thought, I should go to work, but I'm not going to do it. And yeah, he's going to get criticised by everybody, but I just think everybody worrying about the media attention it's going to get, and it's all going to get dragged up again and again. It's just they need to focus on what's going on, and I think that the things they've got coming up in the next few months with the change and the focus they need to put on themselves, I think Marcus Rashford going on a bit of a bender is the last thing they need to be focusing on in great depth.
I agree with you, Tom, to an extent, but I mean, are you not contradicting yourself in some of that there? Like, we've all done it, he's done it, he's 26, give him a break. And then you say, but he'll need to watch himself because there's a new regime in there.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think that he does need to watch himself and keep his eye on the game. But I think that certainly making a mistake, and he signed this new contract and stuff, so maybe he does feel a bit invincible and he does need a bit of a bringing down. But it probably shows the weakness at Man United, really. I think that there's other Premier League teams that are in challenges, and some that are doing a lot better than others.
Yeah.
Where all this attention doesn't seem to come up, and I think that maybe it is a reflection on how things are at Man United in a culture sense that he feels like he can get away with it.
Okay, but, Tom, listen, thank you for that. Thanks for the points you've made. Simon's another United fan. Simon, what's your take on this?
Hello.
Hi, Simon. Yeah, what do you want to say in it?
Morning, gentlemen. Morning there, all. It's a bad line, so I'll just try my best here.
Okay.
First of all, what does Man United stand for? They've lost all stability. They've lost the discipline. It's all been turned upside down, and they've not got where they need to be. That's my big take on this. The structure's completely been unfolded since the Sir Alex Ferguson days. The takeover were very shambolically done. They've had topsy-turvy managers in there, just part bit playing, and it's not good enough. And what United stand for is not what's now being delivered. So I think it's time they got a nice clean edge, remodelled themselves, reinvented themselves, and pressed on. That's my point.
Okay, listen, thanks for that, Simon. Quite unequivocal, that, isn't it? Simon, the Ineos arrival, has it weakened Ten Hag's standing in the dressing room? I mean, do you think players, and maybe Marcus is part of this, without intentionally wanting to be so, players sense vulnerability?
Oh, players will always sense vulnerability. They'll always see an opportunity, and they'll always look for the weakness in somebody, and they'll always look for a reason why it's not them that has to be accountable for their behaviour or their performances. And you'll see, not just me as a mean-spirited ex-owner, you'll hear other players, Danny Murphy will talk about it, anyone that's got anything about them will say it's a culture of football, that they look for that opportunity. And if a manager walks in the dressing room with the biggest reputation in the world, and the first thing that comes out of his mouth the players don't like, then all of a sudden that manager's got a problem. I maintain that, as difficult as it may be, this is why it's a blue chip job. This is why you get paid the money that you get paid. This is why the expectation is upon you. This is why it's one of the biggest jobs in football, is because you have to manage all the moving parts of Manchester United, from the performance that's expected on you on the field to the culture off it. And I think they go hand in glove. If the culture off the field isn't right, and we have to be careful that we don't go overboard on what this is and what it isn't. This is a combination of things with Marcus. I think that this is the culmination of a period of time where his performances haven't been great. What's going on in his private life, and whatever excuses you want to provide for that, we've all got challenges in our lives. If everything was easy, everyone would be doing everything. It's about those that can overcome adversity. And when I hear people making excuses about what's going on in his private life, or what, we must be careful because he may be having a difficult time, mentally, I find that quite irritating, because there's something in life called fortitude and resilience. And half the time these boys don't know they're born in terms of the opportunities they're given. But the worry for me in all of this is the team reflects leadership. Right? If the leadership is unequivocal and it's understanding, I don't understand what goes through a player's minds in an environment where one thing going out having a few drinks and swinging your pants, it's another thing drinking yourself to Palookaville so the next day you can't come into work, and what you think that's going to, the consequences of that's going to be whilst you're doing it. So you have a mindset, and I don't want to go deep into the performances of a 26-year-old, but he's a man, he's not a boy. He's paid like a man, he's treated like a man, he's revered and supported like a man in football terms. So let's not get into the 26-year-old nonsense bit, because he's been around Man United in that pressure cooker, in that environment for a long time. He knows what's expected of him, and something in Marcus Rashford's psyche and other players that have been there think that they can do this. And that's the bigger question. And Ten Hag has to look at himself to work out why he's got to come down with size 9s in this way, rather than the culture be absolutely right. And the problem for Man United is that they will have a very different level of scrutiny than any other football club. I mean, I've sat here and been mocked by it over social media that I say we talk about Man United far too much because they're not worthy of the observations. They're not the club that they once were, and they get far too much attention. And here we go back round again and circle back on Man United, because you can't help but do that, because they are always the story. That's why when I compare Man United to other football clubs and say, irrespective of their paltry performances on the pitch, they're still often the biggest story in any room. And that just tells you what kind of football club Man United will become again if it's directed and run properly. Because I really don't think, and it's maybe me being very formulaic, Jim, I really don't think it's that difficult. I might have run out of money at the end of my time at Palace, but by Christ, my team got in the Premier League when other clubs couldn't. We got into 3 playoffs, we got one of the best youth academies, and I won on many levels. I just ran out of dough, and it wasn't that difficult to get people's mind focused. Yeah, I had to get through a few managers, and yes, I had to make a few changes, and I had to break a few eggs to make omelettes. But Man United, you've got all this embarrassment of riches to be able to get right. I need proper people in proper positions. And when I see the litany of people that have been there, from Ed Woodward trying to do an off-the-record briefing with us about what will and won't happen with Man United when he shuffles out the door, through to this guy Richard Arnold having a drink in a boozer with a bunch of fans that are recording him and handling situations like Mason Greenwood, and you look at this and go, who are these people? How do they get to be seen as best in class? And then you look at Ten Hag and say, you've had 18 months now, son, to make sure, and Marcus Rashford isn't a recruited player, he isn't a Jack Grealish adjusting to the culture of Man City and finding out that Pep Guardiola means it. He's been there since the get-go. He knows what Man United is like. Yeah. So all of this makes me feel that, and it's a huge opportunity for Jim Radcliffe and his guys, insofar as they're going to be as involved as we think they are. Let's see if Brailsford's got the chops, because a lot's been made out of Dave Brailsford, and he can be a bit David Brentish at times.
Do you think Brailsford and Radcliffe are looking at it saying, we don't want this. Incidentally, Marcus, we don't want this. We don't want White and Jordan on talkSPORT.
Well, they wouldn't want
talking
it,
to an audience
but they wouldn't want
about
it.
you in these terms because this is Manchester
But they wouldn't
United.
want it, but they shouldn't be anywhere near it. This should not be, and Jim Ratcliffe shouldn't be shuffling down to the training ground, wherever it is, with Dave Brailsford and being involved in this conversation.
No, but it's a football matter. They're allegedly in control of
Fine,
that side
but they
of it
shouldn't
now.
be, yeah, but the person that they should be controlling is the manager. The manager needs to account to them as to why a player thinks that this is something that can happen. And a player thinks that the latitude that was given by the manager can be taken and thrown back in his face, and then a player can't turn up for training because it's deeply, deeply unprofessional.
Yes.
And I don't care whether people have off days. When you're playing for arguably the most featured football club in the world that's not doing very well, an interesting thing is that makes me smile is the senior players are not happy. Who are they then? Which senior players are those then? Which one of those are the standard bearers that are going to be telling Marcus Rashford that he's not doing his job properly? Because I can tell you what, a few of them can point fingers at themselves for their performances for their club.
There was a fellow, a newsagent, my way down this morning, around the corner from here, was saying to me, it should be a privilege to play for Manchester United. Should be a privilege. But you always go on about the iconic scale of United, and you're not wrong in that. I remember standing with Sir Alex and Rennie Mullenstein watching a training session and thinking, how privileged am I to be up close and personal looking at Scholes, Rooney,
but if you did
and
it
the
every
rest
day,
of them.
it
was a privilege.
Fine.
He's part of it.
But if you do that every single day, and that was your job every single day to go down to the training ground and report on watching Paul Scholes and whoever else it was, then it would become something that you do. So it's very easy from the outside world. Yeah, they are in a remarkable position. They, all their Christmases have come at once. And they walk around sometimes like impending doom. They can't believe that, we can't believe what footballers are getting this day and age for the returns and the reward that they get, because it's economics that drive that conversation. But when you do it for a living and it's your job, it's very binary to look from the outside in saying it should be a privilege. Yeah, sometimes you should pinch yourself and remind yourself of the opportunities you've been given in life. But when you live in that life and it's a life that you don't walk around going, oh, I'm privileged. So we've got to get the context right as well.
It's a very good point. So Rashford apparently on thin ice, but United say the matter is closed. Won't be.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.